In this video, we will talk about a very strange person who has apparently appeared in Zwane's transfer list. We will also talk about KAIZER Chiefs players going on a strike because they don't want other Zwane to be coaching them next season. Interesting. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo. I am your host. This is where fans meet and talk about KAIZER Chiefs. Khosi Football Club. And yes, the first player that I want to talk about, the only player actually in this video, because we'll talk about the player striking later on. But for now, I want to talk about Ulathene Phalane. I know maybe I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but apparently the Chiefs want him. And for a moment, some of you will ask, Uguti, who's this player? Some of you might not know that, might not know him. So he was playing since the days of Celtics, he was playing for Celtics. And the Chiefs were targeting him from then. And then they were bought by a Royal AM status Sabo, and then he stayed with Royal AM and he was still playing with Royal AM. Why would the Chiefs want to sign him? Well, because he's a defensive midfielder and the Chiefs are looking for a defensive midfielder. And he just left Royal AM, and you know what that means when it comes to free agents. KAIZER Chiefs, we specialize in that. So because of that, the Chiefs are apparently now looking to sign Phalane. To me, that just doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons. Number one, Phalane won this season. He has just played 27% of the games he was in the starting 11. He's had 11 appearances the entire season. So the thing that we've been talking about, that I've been talking about in any case, Uguti, we cannot have a situation whereby we are signing players who are sitting on the bench or we're not playing week in, week out for their team. Because that means if you don't make it to the starting 11 of whichever other team in SA football, which is not Chiefs, Pirates or Sundowns, then you cannot then be said you're a good enough player to come and play for Chiefs, Pirates and Sundowns. Because those teams are always, they require every player to be at an elite level, well, elite level in South African football in any case. So if when you're not playing for your Royal AM, you are now all of a sudden going to be a starter for your Chiefs, it's just not realistic. Because if you are not good enough for your Royal AM to hold on to you, then what makes your Chiefs go after you and say, hey, we want to Phalane? Why? Just because we're free agent? That doesn't make sense, because we've been going through the situations whereby we are just busy trying to go after Badlali just because they are free agents. You look at what they would bring to the team, you're like, nah, fam, I don't see what this player would bring to the team. But they are a free agent, so we might as well get them. We've made this mistake, but it seems like we're not learning. And I really hope Uguti Chiefs, this is not true, and this is just one of those rumors. Because he's also turning 34 in November. And we just refused to sign Uchali because he's 33 and he's ill-disciplined. Understandably so. So now you're not going to sign a player who's turning 34 who's not been playing. At least Uchali was playing and he's still a good player. But now you're going to sign Phalane who's not been playing just because he has a better discipline than Uchali. Yes, I'll still say this. I don't think the Chiefs needs any players who are going to kind of disturb harmony. I don't even know if there's harmony in that bench. But I don't think the Chiefs needs to bring on players who can cause a disorder. That's why I'm against signing Uchali. Not because of the quality that he possesses, but because of what he might bring to the team behind the scenes. I fear that because if Umdlalene history, ill-discipline, then that might affect what he does at the team. Anyways, the other reason why Chiefs might be wanting to sign Phalane is because of the fact that we had the things about Royal AM. I mean, he's Stellenbosch, Uguti, they don't want to sell their players. So the Chiefs might say it's difficult to get Omteto from Stellenbosch, so they're leaving him with Stellenbosch and they're going to take the risk with Phalane. To what end though? Because we still need someone who's going to be a long-term defensive midfielder. They are also probably fearing they will sign a foreign player and then that player will not fit with KAIZER Chiefs. Which then is like, to me, why have they not been scouting throughout this time? Because it was known Uguti Chiefs don't have a defensive midfielder, and they should have solved this thing out from the moment the season began, because they were not sure they were going to turn Unjabulo Plum to a defensive midfielder and then it was going to work. Even if they started scouting for a defensive midfielder in January, By now, if we had good scouts, then you'd expect to go to they found someone even outside of South Africa. But my team hasn't done that, and now we're scrambling to sign my free agents that are probably not gonna help us with anything. If you're enjoying this video, by the way, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video so that you can help me reach more people like you. Right, moving on to the other thing that I saw on Twitter, which could be true and could not be true. Apparently, KAIZER Chiefs players have gone to the management and they've complained about Atazwane, saying they don't want to play under him, they don't want to be coached by him. Obviously, these things could just be ama agenda, right? Because we know go to Twitter, people push ama agenda abo, and then they will even come up with things to make this thing a possibility, to make this thing seem like it's real. But let's just say it was true, or it were true. I could see players actually doing that, because we saw the same thing in a team like Bayern, because they are the prime example of this. Players be Bayern complaining about Julian Nagelsmann, they were not understanding his tactics. He would bench players without telling them why, which, by the way, we can transfer to Chiefs. So some players were being benched, some players were not being benched. You see all those things and how unfair some things may be. But the question is, who would be powerful enough to actually approach the management and say we don't want to play under Zwane? I don't want to say player's name, but I don't think it would be someone who arrived last season. It would be players who've been at the team for a while. And if I look at that squad, there are very few players who could actually do that. The only player, and I don't think it's characteristic of him, Udoli, who could be abangafufisana nabayambadlala ukuthi hey uZwane akayazi lento ayenza, let's go and tell management. I don't think that makes any sense. How much power would that player have at KAIZER Chiefs to approach management? A management that is very close to Zwane, by the way, because KAIZER Mtaung Jr. is very close to Atazwane, right? So I don't get which player in their right mind would actually approach KAIZER Mtaung Jr. and say, look, we don't want to play under Atazwane, right? Because I think the only thing that they can do, which they might have done already this season, is to just drag their feet and perform like they don't care, which some of the players have done during the season. And that could be a very visible way that the players can actually complain and say, we don't want to play under this coach, so we're just going to drag our feet and make sure by the end of the season, this coach is fired. But when it comes to actually going to the management and letting them know that they don't want to play under the coach, I don't think that's a possibility. It is a possibility, but it's like a long shot, because that's like committing career suicide. Because then what if management that is very good at releasing players turns against you, unless you know your contract still has 3-4 years remaining? Because if you get released by Chiefs, let's just take an example and say who did this. I don't think he did, but let's just say it's Doli, right? Doli is getting reportedly 1.4 million per month with Chiefs. If Chiefs releases him, I know there's money that they would still have to pay him. But if they release him, then which other team would actually want to sign that player? Or besides Uguti would want to sign that player, which team can actually afford even half of Doli's salary, right? Because if there's anyone who would complain, it would be players who know good, they have power and they can influence the changing room. But I doubt Uguti some players would actually do that. I actually believe Uguti this is just one of those moments where people are pushing their agendas, and they're even going to a point where they are lying to make sure that their agendas are pushed. I don't think that is true. But do you think that is true? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelo Moy.